In the top stories, 2017 budget begins to take shape. National security remains a top priority. Police offers security briefing to businesses ahead of the upcoming season. And the Department of Gender Affairs conducts psychosocial assessment on boys in the mentorship program. The details on these stories and more after the break. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Carla Barrage. Planning meetings to finance government programs and activities for the 2017 fiscal year began this week as the Budget's Estimate Committee, members of the Federal Cabinet, and technical officers from the various ministries and departments have been locked in intense discussions. Deputy Financial Secretary Calvin Edwards said upgrading the national security apparatus was a major priority for the government as it carries out its mandate to enhance public safety.
Massive investments are going to be put into training, upgrading equipment for police and so on, so that you could keep on the momentum that has in 2016 continued in 2017. The government is not sparing any resources in terms of augmenting, giving the police the necessary resources that they would need to effectively fight crime.
During the 2016 budget address last December, the Ministry of National Security was granted $47.6 million to carry out its recurrent activities and $15.4 million for capital projects. The recurrent expenditure represented a $3.8 million or 8.7% increase over the previous year. While there was a usual intense focus for next year's initiatives, Financial Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Hilary Hazel, said that medium-term programs are also being projected as part of a new forward-looking system.
In the medium framework that is developed by the Ministry of Finance, we also have the opportunity to look 2 years down the line. We cannot do a proper planning out of the investments that government needs to make, as well as the programs and the policies that needs to fit together nicely in just a snapshot of a 12-month period.
Among medium-term projects mentioned to be in the pipeline are an emergency efficiency program for public lighting, an audit of public buildings with a view to incorporate green energy tools, and the drilling of new wells to increase the supply of potable water. As the fourth quarter, October to December, is a period of great anticipation for many local businesses and is often what makes the difference between a good or a great year, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is warning that it is also a period of increased activity for would-be robbers, burglars, and shoplifters. Head of the Criminal Investigations Department, Inspector James Francis, is asking business owners to be proactive about security in order to reduce risk. Underscoring this, Inspector Francis said it is recommended that businesses review their internal security plan for the prevention of robbery, burglary, and shoplifting. The CID head also noted that the increased shopping period is a time of increased credit card fraud and said businesses can do their part to prevent this by ensuring proper identification is presented with each purchase. The head of the Criminal Investigations Department said, quote, "We want our businesses to enjoy the upcoming shopping season. We want them to be safe, and so our investigators are available to brief businesses and their staff on how to reduce risk with regards to robbery, burglary, shoplifting, and credit card fraud," end quote. All the business has to do is call us at 465-2241, extension 4236, and we will be there. This is something that can be done in 30 minutes before or after you open. I strongly encourage business owners to take advantage of our security briefing. Inspector Francis also added businesses should be alert of activity around their establishments and encourage them to report suspicious activity by calling any police station or Crime Stoppers, the anonymous hotline, at 1-800-8477. After the break, older persons in the Federation to receive year-long celebrations. We'll tell you more when we come back. The Department of Gender Affairs, in collaboration with the Charles E. Mills Secondary School, SEMS, is conducting a psychosocial assessment on the 12 boys between the ages of 12 and 17 currently enrolled in the department's Boys Mentorship program so that they can be properly attached to respective mentors. William Hodge, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, recently joined the list of mentors. He expressed his interest in making a difference in the boys' lives. He stated that a mentorship program does not have to be about boys only, as there are also girls who need mentoring, and noted that although there is a certain amount of mentoring that is done for girls, it can be strengthened. An advisory committee has been appointed for the Boys Mentorship Program and is currently having meetings to formulate bylaws for the program. The Boys Mentorship Program was launched in July 2016 and is aimed at providing adolescent males with opportunities for adventure, self-discovery, cultural exchange, leadership building, developing traditional and non-traditional skills, and service through training. The Ministry of Social Development has been working diligently to ensure that older persons in the Federation are appreciated and given their due recognition year-round, especially in the month of October. That is according to Deputy Director in the Ministry of Social Development, Ann Wigley, who said that the decision came last year to celebrate older persons all year round instead of focusing on 1 month, as older persons have contributed greatly to national building and should be duly recognized. She made the statements while appearing on the most recent edition of Working for You on Wednesday.
We started with in February, where the Brimstone Hill Fortress took us out for the Sunday, and it was well attended, over 200 persons. And then we had our fun day, where in April, where the person at Kim Collins, where we had our races and people got their medals. Oh, that was great. Then we had the Chinese had us as guests at Echo Park. Again, we went and visit and had our day out. Our picnic went down because of the weather, so we will do that next time.
She said that a picnic was also planned but had to be postponed due to inclement weather. She noted, however, that the activity will be rescheduled. Wigley also said that so far in the month of October, a church service was held at the Church of God of Prophecy in Newton Ground, as well as a seniors march in Nevis, noting both events were successful. Wigley said equally important is the honoring of centenarians in St. Kitts and Nevis.
I'm pleased to hear that the government has accepted my thing to have it annually. So it would now be in St. Kitts and Nevis, an annual event on our calendar that May 31st would be our centenarian day. And we will also be honoring 23 persons with plaques, plus our centenarians during the month of October.
Still to come on the calendar of events are a movie night, a seniors ball, and an island tour. Older persons from Nevis will journey to St. Kitts to partake in the island tour. To date, there are 10 centenarians in St. Kitts and 6 in Nevis, making it a total of 16 in the Federation. Climate is changing, food and agriculture must too. This is the theme governing the World Food Day week of activities, and in particular the 7th annual World Food Day Food Fair and Agricultural Exhibition, which will be hosted in Sandy Point on Saturday. According to the president of the Sandy Point Agricultural Cooperative, Lionel Stevens, the exhibition will focus mainly on this year's theme.
This year, as the topic states, food and agriculture must change too, so that climate is changing. We wanted to go back to what we used to eat back in the days. So we are having a cassava utilization demonstration where we hope to share some interesting knowledge pertaining to the cassava, so that persons would get into eating more cassava again, because it's a good thing to have within the diet.
Stevens further revealed that donations will be collected for a worthy cause.
All the participants will be there. You have like Kitchen Hill, Eco Park, Kevin's Animal Corner, we have the caterers, Cartons Farm, TDC, Spax Ital, amongst many other things. There's no admission fee, and we're inviting persons to come on out and celebrate with us, as we are also looking to collect some donations on behalf of Tavares Fai, who was injured in the community festival some years ago. So he's there in the community, he's in the hospital, but we hope that persons would come on out and share with him. He's supposed to be there as well.
The 7th annual World Food Day Food Fair and Agricultural Exhibition will take place on Saturday at the Sandy Point Marketplace. The opening ceremony begins at 9 a.m. and will be followed by the cassava utilization demonstration. Coming up, UN chief banned to visit Haiti as appeals falter. The details when we come back.
Can you afford to lose everything? In times of uncertainty, ensure you have the security of Quartz Payment Protection. When you shop with Quartz Ready Finance Gold or Ultimate Plan, if you lose your job after 6 months of making payments, our redundancy coverage ensures that the payment on your account continues for up to 12 months. Don't risk losing everything. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and get the payment protection plan that protects you against redundancy, disability, death, and loss of item due to natural disaster, fire, flood, or theft. Quartz Ready Finance with payment protection. Quartz, bringing value home.
UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon will visit hurricane-scarred Haiti on Saturday, as it was revealed that only 5% of $120 million requested via an appeal had so far been raised. UN spokesman Stephanie Dujarric appealed to donors to give more. Haiti says more than 1.4 million people urgently need humanitarian aid in the wake of Hurricane Matthew, which is believed to have killed over 900 people. Mr. Dujarric said Mr. Ban would travel to one of the worst affected towns on the southern coast. He would meet Haiti's leaders, including Interim President Prévert, affected communities and aid workers. Mr. Dujarric said only 6.1 million had been raised from the UN's flash appeal to cover work in the country for the next 3 months. He also said there had been a number of security incidents involving humanitarian aid, including one in which peacemakers opened fire to disperse a crowd trying to loot a convoy. Anger has also been mounting among Haitians amid reports of looting of aid. The Category 4 Hurricane Matthew swept through Haiti on October 4th with winds of over 145 miles per hour, leaving death and devastation behind. The government of Guyana will be making a donation of cash to the people of Haiti to help alleviate their stress following the passage of Hurricane Matthew, which flattened parts of the French-speaking country and claimed up to 1,000 lives. HGP-TV's Handel Duncan has that story.
The south of the French-speaking island has suffered extensive damage by Hurricane Matthew that claimed hundreds of lives and caused injury to hundreds more. CARICOM has since dispatched a team to the island, and the community's Secretary-General Ambassador Erwin Larocque has traveled to the ravaged, torn island also. At Tuesday's sitting of cabinet, Haiti's situation was discussed, according to Guyana's Foreign Affairs Minister, Carl Greenidge.
When a country like Haiti is so often and so badly devastated, the normal material resources with which we will provide them can pose a challenge. In other words, you take a ship, you fill it with rice and petrol, let us say, and you send it off to Trinidad and you collect some more stuff from Trinidad, and then you go and pick up some in Jamaica. Then you send it to Haiti. It lands in Port-au-Prince, and you hear that there's no way to get from Port-au-Prince to some other part of Haiti, or that will take 2 months because the road has been destroyed, there's no traffic, or a bridge has disappeared.
Against that backdrop, and in an effort to react quickly, a decision was taken to provide some cash in the first instance to the island.
If they are able to buy, they may transact with a commercial firm which can provide helicopters, or they may get the US or one of the larger countries in the region, Colombia, to provide helicopters to move the stuff quickly.
Refraining from disclosing the amount of cash to be given to Haiti, the Foreign Affairs Minister said the announcement will be made shortly by the Finance Minister.
It may not be that massive for Haiti. Haiti is a big country of 10 million people. Their needs are enormous. So what we can do on the financial front will be small, but it's not the size that really matters. If you deliver that at a critical place, it will help people and may save lives.
According to reports, the Haitian government and UN officials have estimated that some 350,000 people are in need of dire assistance. It is a country considered one of the poorest in the world. Handel Duncan H., GP Nightly News.
Coming up, Antonio Gutierrez formally elected as UN chief. The details when we come back. Former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Gutierrez has been formally elected as the next UN Secretary-General. Gutierrez, who will take over from Ban Ki-moon on January 1st, vowed to serve the cause of peace for the Syrian people. Al Jazeera's James Bays report from the UN headquarters in New York.
It is so decided. This was the moment when Antonio Guterres became the next head of the UN. What's known as a vote by acclamation, applause showing the General Assembly backed last week's secret ballot in the Security Council. There had been strong arguments that the 9th Secretary-General should come from Eastern Europe, the only region that's not had the job. Many said after 8 men the job should go to a woman. In the end, the 67-year-old's experience shone out, a former Portuguese Prime Minister and 10 years heading the UN's refugee agency.
My feelings could be described by just 2 words: gratitude and humility. And it is with the same gratitude and humility that I stand before you today, now joined by a profound sense of responsibility.
Both the Russian ambassador and his US counterpart spoke, giving strong support to Guterres, one of the few things on which they currently agree.
In Mr. Gutierrez, we've selected a candidate who brings both head and heart to the job.
Guterres is well aware of the limitations of the job and of the challenges. The current Secretary-General, Ban Ki-moon, has had to deal with constant controversies, for example, sexual abuse by peacekeepers and cholera introduced by the UN to Haiti, and with mounting conflicts, in particular in Syria. Do you have some fresh ideas?
To see the Syrian people suffering so much, it's something that absolutely breaks my heart. So what I can say is that I'll do my best to serve the cause of peace for the Syrian people.
So will this 9th Secretary-General be a reforming one? He's already talking about major changes, for example, gender parity throughout the entire system. But remember that the UN is 71 years old. Reform within the system is possible. Reforming the entire structure will be much more difficult. James Bays, Al Jazeera of the United Nations.
U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump has publicly denied allegations that he sexually assaulted women. Speaking at a rally in Florida, he told supporters that the reports in the New York Times are nothing more than lies, and he intends to sue the newspaper. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher has the latest.
Donald Trump unusually spent several minutes at his Florida rally addressing the new allegations of sexual misconduct. Accused of groping 2 women, he insisted there was no truth to the stories.
These claims are all fabricated. They're pure fiction and they're outright lies. These events never ever happened, and the people that said them meekly fully understand. You take a look at these people, you study these people, and you'll understand also.
2 women contacted the New York Times claiming Donald Trump assaulted them. Jessica Leeds says Trump groped her on a plane 35 years ago.
All of a sudden, his hands were all over me. He started encroaching on my space.
A second woman, Rachel Crooks, told the Times Trump kissed her on the mouth without her permission. The women came forward after they heard Donald Trump on the stage of the second presidential debate on Sunday.
I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those things?
Women have respect for me, and I will tell you, no, I have not.
Al Jazeera has not been able to confirm their stories. But it's Trump's own words that have hurt him most. A video released last week caught the Republican presidential candidate talking in graphic and obscene terms about assaulting women and how he can get away with it.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them.
The Trump election effort saw many high-profile and low-level defections after the release of the controversial video. It has hit his support across the country. The candidate himself is continuing to campaign. but is reportedly narrowing his focus to just 4 swing states, having slipped behind in others. Responding to a threat to sue for libel, the New York Times wrote to Trump's lawyers telling them, "Nothing in our article had the slightest effect on the reputation that Mr. Trump, through his own words and actions, has already created for himself. And that if he believes that American citizens had no right to hear what these women had to say, and that the law of this country forces us and those who would dare to criticize him to stand silent or be punished, we welcome the opportunity to have a court set him straight." For the die-hard Trump supporters, this will do little to dampen their enthusiasm. He insists he will produce evidence to refute the claims of the women alleging assault, and he says he will do it at an appropriate time. He obviously doesn't believe that that time is now. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera.
Up next in sports, WICB and UNICEF host UNICEF Child Protection Workshop. Stay tuned.
Hey, what you doing? The time passing. Next thing you know, it's a Christmas Eve and there's hustle and bustle and fretting. Every year can't be the same thing. At Courts, everything waiting. The best deals, the best prices. Christmas this year, give you niceness. Come to Courts, you're invited. Let's go! Down to Courts. You know we've got the best in show. To be satisfied, come on, let's go. Down to Courts. That's where it's going down. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Under the Scotiabank Kiddie Cricket Program, the West Indies Cricket Board, in collaboration with UNICEF, hosted a UNICEF Child Protection Workshop on Friday at the Warnerpark Cricket Stadium dining room. According to Leeward Islands Territorial Development Officer Junie Mitchum, the workshop will serve to meet international coaching benchmarks.
Today's workshop is a part of the ongoing development of WICB Coaching Education Program. As WICB seeks to standardize and meet the current international coaching benchmarks in order to strengthen developmental, amateur, and professional cricket across the region. Knowing that our coaches and teachers have to be equipped with more than just their technical skill sets, WICB and UNICEF has developed a fair play initiative in child protection in youth cricket programs.
Child Protection Officer Naren Maynard said the workshop will help in efforts of child protection made by the Probation and Child Protection Services.
The Ministry of Community Development, Gender Affairs and Social Services, particularly the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services, is grateful for the partnership of UNICEF and the West Indies Cricket Board in joining in our effort to strengthen and build capacity to prevent and combat the ills, abuse, and neglect that affect our children, and at the same time fulfill the conditions of Article 31 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Minister of Sports, Honorable Sean Richards, urged the coaches present to pay special attention to children under their care.
But when you are coaching calls for a certain level of patience, it calls for a level of maturity, it calls for a level of tolerance. And I am asking you to exercise all of those different virtues as you engage in coaching the young people, the future cricketers of St. Kitts and Nevis, of the Leeward Islands, of the West Indies, and cricketers who we expect to see on the international stage.
The Child Protection Workshop is part of the prerequisite for entry to the revamped WICB Foundation coaching course, which is scheduled to be held on 15th and 16th November 2016. Colin Kaepernick's protest of the national anthem is prompting criticism from artists who are being paid to sing it. More in this report.
San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick has been taking a knee at NFL games during the national anthem as a protest against racial inequality and police brutality. Now some singers are considering whether they want to get paid to sing the anthem at events. Grammy-winning R&B singer Anthony Hamilton has been paid to sing it in the past, but now he's considering if he'd ever do it again. He said, "I'm going to take a little time away from the anthem until it starts feeling like it's for me." Singer John Legend has also criticized the anthem, calling it weak, and opting for America the Beautiful instead.
38-year-old swimmer Ben Hooper is preparing to embark upon an aquatic journey across the Atlantic Ocean. CNN's Ramin Carmel reports.
For Ben Hooper, this isn't just another day at the beach. The 38-year-old Brit is preparing to embark on an epic aquatic quest to swim the Atlantic Ocean.
So I sat there and thought, right, I'm going to do this. Now, how the hell do I do it? And that was 3.5 years ago.
Next month, Hooper will set off for Dakar, Senegal, attempting to swim all the way across the Atlantic to the coast of Brazil, a straight-line distance of more than 1,600 nautical miles. His actual route will be even longer to account for currents and drift. To get there, the former policeman plans to swim up to 10 hours a day over approximately 140 days. Along the way, he'll face the threat of sharks, jellyfish, powerful currents and monster waves.
And obviously every day the ocean, she will predict what happens.
A safety and support team will follow Hooper closely for every stroke, and he'll get to sleep aboard the team's boat. If he succeeds, this would be a world record, making Hooper the first person to ever swim across the ocean.
Every bloody mile, okay, whether it kills me or not, every single mile has to be swum, and then I'll be happy.
It's a monumental feat, especially when you know that Hooper nearly drowned in a swimming pool when he was 5 years old. Now he swims up to 40 kilometers a day, and while some critics doubt he can make it across the Atlantic on his first attempt, Hooper says he won't give up.
And what I say is if I don't make this, as long as I have at least one leg and one arm, I will bloody do it again, and I will get it done.
Hooper says he's more than ready to take the plunge, and he plans to head out to sea November the 1st. Robin Kerno, CNN.
When we come back, we'll have another look at the stories that made the headlines. Recapping the top stories, 2017 budget begins to take shape. National security remains a top priority. Police offers security briefing to businesses ahead of the upcoming season. And the Department of Gender Affairs conducts psychosocial assessment on boys in the mentorship program. And finally, an adorable 5-year-old girl has given England's Prime Minister Theresa May a lecture for not helping homeless people in an endearing rant that has gone viral.
Look, my name is Brooke Blair and I'm 5 years old. I've got something to say to you, Theresa May. Yesterday night, I was out on the streets and I saw millions of homeless people. I saw one with floppy ears, I saw loads. You should be out there, Theresa May. You should be biscuits, hot chocolate sandwiches, and building houses. Look, I'm only 5 years old. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm saving up money and there'll never be enough. You've got to put money, spend some and help people. That's what you've got to do. Because we've had lots of wars in this country and I do not like that, Theresa May. I'm very angry.
And that's the end of the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carla Barrage. Goodbye.